I'm Eric Grau, last name is Grau, and my title is the General Manager of Gas Operations.
Okay.
Yeah, so I like to tell folks that we are either in the winter season or we're preparing for the winter season. So it's not an activity that just happens through one period of the year. And so over the last year, TVA has made a significant amount of investment, both financial and from a time standpoint, with our folks at our sites to ensure that our winter readiness program has been executed. There's been thousands of activities that have gone on to make sure that we assess, enhance, and repair any of the critical systems that are necessary to make our plants reliable for the winter months. It really does. A lot of our plants have equipment that's exposed to the elements, and so through the winter months, it's important that we make sure that we protect our instrumentation as well as the critical components so that they are not impacted by significant cold weather. So these efforts include making sure that we've got electrical cabling that is heated to make sure that the equipment inside the pipes don't freeze, but then even more critical is making sure that the instrumentation that controls the plants is properly insulated and heated so that when the winter weather does hit, it can stay in service and make sure that we can reliably and resiliently operate the plants. So Winter Storm Heather, we performed very well. The efforts of our dedicated workforce to prepare us for Winter Storm Heather were successful. We had good, reliable operation. Our plants were resilient to the cold weather that Heather provided us, and we set an all-time TVA peak through Winter Storm Heather. TVA learned a lot of lessons coming through Winter Storm Elliott, and those lessons were applied through the months following Elliott and preceding Winter Storm Heather. And so as we continue to make investments in the plants, we continue to evaluate our processes, our procedures, our communications protocols, we were able to deliver reliable and resilient results through Winter Storm Heather. The natural gas fleet really provides a flexible and resilient bedrock to be able to bridge between our baseload fleet and our top peaking resources. Portions of our gas fleet can serve in a capacity to make sure that it manages the day in and day out fluctuations of human consumption. And we also have the peaking ability to be able to make sure that on those cold winter mornings, we have reliable and resilient energy that can serve for the valley. Yeah, so a lot of these efforts, funding is critical to make sure that we can invest in the assets, to make sure that we mitigate and eliminate risk. But all of that money is consumed and implemented by the dedicated workforce that we have. And that's not just during the Winter Storm Elliott or Winter Storm Heather peaks. That's 12 months out of the year. That is day in and day out, everyone coming to work, working safely, working diligently, and making sure that we're aligned to be able to deliver for the 10 million that we serve.
Yes, TVA is very reliable. We maintain greater than 99% reliability, and we put a lot of effort and work into maintaining that level of reliability. We just recently went through overhauls here at Paradise on our steam turbine and all 3 of our gas turbine generators. We've increased our capacity here at this station by 27 megawatts, which is pretty exceptional. And we're ready this year for the weather. So this is one of our temporary enclosures. We set these up in the fall each winter to get ready for the cold weather, and this protects some of our vulnerable components from the cold temperatures. It breaks the wind, and some of them we actually have some heat sources in to protect against freezing any of the components.
What kind of components is in there?
This one in particular right here is actually one of our gas valve stations for our auxiliary boiler that we use to provide startup steam for the steam turbine.
And if that froze, it would cause major problems for you?
If this froze, it would cause major problems. And the other thing, if we were trying to start up in extreme cold weather and this happened to freeze, it would definitely be an impact to that. So this is some of our heavier insulation that we put on our components that are exposed to cold. These are really thick mineral wool blankets, and they also have this impermeable shell on the outside to protect from wind, and then they have insulation under to hold the temperature in. The cold weather affects the plants basically due to freezing. I mean, a lot of our systems here have liquid in them, and you know, when they freeze, it causes problems here at the plant. You know, our instrumentation, if it freezes up, it can trigger equipment shutdowns. And obviously it's very critical during cold weather that we keep running to keep the power out. And it's also critical here because our plants become a whole lot more vulnerable to the extreme temperatures if they're not running. They generate heat on their own in normal operation, but if we have something that shuts down unexpectedly during cold weather, it compounds our problems. Very reliably during that peak. You know, that was the highest record, the highest peak that TVA has ever experienced in its 90+ years, and the plant did very well, and that was due to largely in part due to the preparations we made ahead of that storm.
The system as a whole performed well, didn't it?
The system as a whole performed well. All the generating stations at TVA performed really well during the cold weather snap we had last winter. Funds here were used, we mentioned a little bit earlier, we went through a major inspection on actually all 3 of our units here and the steam turbine at Paradise, put all new hardware inside the units, and in addition uprated each unit by approximately 9 megawatts.
Does that make it more reliable?
Makes them more reliable, and it gives us more capacity here at the station. See in this area right here, this is one of our boiler feed pumps, and the red lights that are illuminated, that's indicating that the heat trace is on and functioning right now as we speak. You can see that those pipes that have the insulation on them, those are on some of our critical components here on the, this is on the steam cycle side.
What does the heat tracing do exactly?
What the heat trace is there's actually cables, electric cables running along the pipe, and they keep the media in the pipe from freezing. They keep it warm enough that it doesn't freeze. And also, you see this little gray box with the insulation on it? That's where one of our transmitters is located, and we try to keep those from freezing as well.
So what's a transmitter?
The transmitter is this plant's highly automated, and your transmitters are actually monitoring the temperatures or pressures, help us monitor the equipment, and operate it in the more of the automatic mode. And so if they freeze, they will either lose indication or start to get a bad indication, and then that can cause equipment to shut off automatically.